Chapter 4: Stealing Martial Arts Skills. Han Yi looked at Widow Lia's fiery gaze, said a few words, and then slipped away. Who the hell could stand this? A 30-year-old woman, as fierce as a wolf or a tiger. This friend of women was too bizarre. Did you see Widow Lia's devouring gaze? As if she wanted to swallow him whole. Running, he turned a corner and once again arrived at the brightly lit Liu Manor. With nothing to do, Han Yi thought to try his luck and entered the bamboo forest once again. He watched the martial artists in the inner courtyard practicing martial arts and sparring against each other. Their movements were agile, their horse stances were solid, their fists whistled in the wind, every move was authentic and well executed. Han Yi watched with envy. As one of the martial artists shouted loudly, his fist momentarily quickened. Their bodies looked as if they were fully drawn bows, their fists flying like the wind, falling like arrows. Shua! At that moment, a dazzling green light orb fell down with a sound. Han Ye's face lit up with joy. Unexpectedly, there was such a pleasant surprise tonight. But he couldn't pick it up now, he could only wait until these martial artists were finished and resting. The martial artist who was punching earlier slowly withdrew his fist, his face showed joy, and he turned to his companion. This tiger arm fist, focusing on the shoulders and arms, is a horizontal training method for developing muscles and bones. After practicing through the hottest part of summer and coldest part of winter, I've finally mastered it. Looking at the solid metal-like arms of these martial artists, one could not help but feel intimidated, as if a single punch could break bones. But soon, the joy on the martial artist's face turned into worry as he sighed. But there is still a great gap to joining the sect. Who knows how difficult the Dragon Sparrow sect's test is? Every year many people are eliminated. This time, it's only because the eldest son of the Liu Manor has been promoted to inner sect disciple that we had extra places. In 7 days, the manor will have new candidates. As the old servants by the young Mrs. side, we cannot slack off. With these words, they started punching the wooden stakes in the courtyard. Listening to this, Han Yi slowly pondered. Liu Chengfen, the eldest son of the Liu family. He had heard of his reputation from the farmers in the manor. This son had a lot of martial talent. At a young age, he showed the power of 100 men, and after going to a martial arts school in the city, he had not returned to the Liu Manor for many years. Now it seems that he had actually joined the Dragon Sparrow sect and become a cultivator. Being promoted to an inner disciple, it seems he was indeed a talented participant. Liu Linky, the miss of the Liu Manor, probably came back this time to follow her brother's footsteps. Bang! 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 The martial artists in the courtyard were hitting wooden stakes that were as tall as people, making loud banging noises. Seeing this, Han Ye's eyes lit up, and he drew a deep breath. He knew well that only by learning martial arts and then cultivating could he change his status as a tenant farmer and truly stand in this world. At present, it seemed like picking up attributes could change his destiny. And learning martial arts would provide an opportunity. 2 hours had passed, and it was late into the night. Only then did the martial artists disperse, one after the other, leaving the large courtyard empty. Han Yi then went to pick up the attribute. Pick up attribute, Fists Masterful 5. Do you want to absorb? Fists Masterful Green, your fist technique is proficient, deeply ingrained, and has slightly higher comprehension of boxing. Fists Masterful 5100, your fist technique is proficient, deeply ingrained, and has slightly higher comprehension of boxing. Absorb it Fom. Asked Fists Masterful attribute was absorbed into his destiny. He found his hands involuntarily forming fists, his arm muscles quivering slightly. It seemed as if he felt uncomfortable without punching. A craving spread throughout his body. But right now he hadn't mastered any specific fist technique and his mind was blank. However, he had sneakily observed the footwork and moves of these martial artists, and there were some impressions in his mind. So, he started to try them out following these mental impressions. Weirdly, even though normally his memory wasn't very good, these moves ingrained themselves in his mind as soon as they appeared, as if they were deeply carved. He thought he wouldn't be able to remember them and that he would quickly forget. To his surprise, every move came to mind immediately and he easily practiced them. He didn't seem like a beginner at all. Within the cover of night and a scattering of stars, only the howl of fists could be heard. Han Yi has left Liu Manor. Under a large tree by the brook, he stood in front of the wooden stake, continuously practicing boxing. This tiger arm fist is not some profound technique, it's just a very simple martial art. One could say that without the help of a secret elixir for cultivation. Its peak potential is limited to horizontal training in the outer sect. But Han Yi still practiced with great vigor, because he knew that even with a destiny of picking up attributes, he still needed to make a lot of effort to make up for his own shortcomings. What is accumulation of strength for sudden release? Not making a sound until the shot that shocks everyone. The tiger arm fist that took others' strenuous cultivation to grasp was learned by him with ease and rapid progress due to picking up attributes. With such talent, he ought to seize every opportunity to use it. He had already taken a lot more advantages than others. With every punch and every form he throws, sweat splashes everywhere. Han Yi was completely soaked in sweat. His legs softened and he collapsed directly onto the reed marsh behind him. He was panting heavily, feeling as though his strength had been overdrawn to its limit. Practicing this tiger arm fist consumes a lot of strength once the movements become standard. Even though the strength of an ox attribute aids in slowly regaining strength, he does not want to move for a short while. He lay there on the grass, looking up at the stars in the sky. The silver brilliance of the bright moon sprinkled over each reed, presenting dazzling crystalline light. This won't work. Though I have the strength of an ox, my body still has to bear high-intensity training, and it must supplement a lot of energy. Those martial artists in the courtyard eat meat and supplements daily to nourish their bodies. That's how they can maintain their training. As a tenant farmer, it's too hard for me to achieve anything following this lifestyle. I must make some changes to my diet. Han Yi seemed to have realized something, sighing like this. Because after some period of practice, he had understood that he needs to forge his limbs and abdominal strength to become solid, and to have enough flexibility to be able to practice these powerful techniques. Otherwise, there will be no effect. Without strength to back up any technique, it would be just an empty shell. Understanding these, Han Yi rested for a while, bathed in the creek, and then returned to the village house. He took out a small amount of copper coins that he had saved up, which was hiding in a layer of his mattress. These were all left to him by his deceased mother. He made a decision on the spot, the next day. Early morning. Hurry up, we need to reach the Black Cliff Forest before noon. There are many mushrooms and herbs in the forest. We have to sell them to Wanshan Hall in the county before it gets dark. Be careful of wild beasts. If you encounter them, avoid at all costs. Otherwise, consider yourself unlucky. Liu, the man in charge, with a cigarette in his mouth, sat on his horse. Puffing on his pipe with an indulgent expression, he didn't forget to yell out a reminder. Han Yi, among the crowd, quietly approached Lia's horse and whispered, "Liu, is it true that the west side of the Black Cliff Forest is teeming with wild beasts?" "Yes, why?" Lia glanced at Han Yi, commenting absent-mindedly. He had an impression of this young lad, who was known to be literate. The village children like him quite a lot, but he usually kept to himself. "It's nothing, just asking." Han Yi delivered several copper coins to Lia's outstretched hands. Seeing this, Lia's eyebrows raised. "What is this?" "Buy yourself some good tobacco. I just want to have a leisurely day today." A smile appeared on Lia's lips. He silently pocketed the copper coins and his mood improved considerably. He nodded and said, "I've found that someone needs to guard the surroundings of the camp, and hey, you're doing it today. Don't go far." "Okay, understood." Hanya naturally agreed. Since he had arrived at the Black Cliff Forest today, he had to go big. Can't leave here without an achievement.